Hey guys and girls, Indie Pride here. Total War Warhammer multiplayer content on the way, and this was an epic 3v3 battle against a 3-stack of Dwarf players. It comes down to the last couple of units and lords on the field, so I definitely recommend sticking around to watch the entire thing. I am playing as the Warriors of Chaos with a core of Forsaken, a pulsating Pleasure Cannon, 2 Chaos Warriors with Halberds, a unit of Unbreakable Chaos Spawn, and a unit of Chosen with Great Weapons. Getting a beautiful sweeping shot of the battlefield here. You can see some tortured souls melted into demonic hellfire getting spewed across the blasted space between our armies. One thing Total War Warhammer has done amazingly well are team battles. They look and feel so cinematic. And something that I think's kind of been overlooked, in this game is the sound design. It's really good. The echo of gunfire and artillery in the distance sounds honestly just really damn good. So we're going to take a quick look at the Dwarf army as our Chaos forces move up now. We do have a Bretonnia teammate as well. Nice shot from the Hell Cannon there into the Hammerers. The Dwarfs, they're going to be bringing what you expect. They're kind of going to be camping on this hill with the front line of Ironbreakers and Hammerers. A lot of Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards as well. They have a bunch of Organ Guns up on top of the hill and some Miners with blasting charges as well. They have a bunch of grudge throwers too, actually. A ton of those. Lots of artillery. They're going to be forcing us to close the distance and get into melee combat as soon as possible, because if we don't, we're going to get torn to shreds from long range. You get a nice overhead view of the battlefield as you see kind of the Dwarf deployment, how they're spread out right now. They got the Hammers up front to get those charges off, and then in the rear the artillery and Ironbreakers out on the flanks. So, this battle, I am bringing a core of Forsaken. They are one of the only cost-effective infantry units on the Warriors of Chaos roster, in my opinion, which is why I've chosen them as my core. They're really fast, have a passive ability that increases their melee attack damage, and have good morale. They actually pay for themselves frequently too, because they only cost 750 gold, and that's kind of a rare thing for Chaos. Their units, at least their mainline infantry, oftentimes doesn't really pay for itself right now. And I'm sure many of you guys have noticed that too. In multiplayer, they're kind of underwhelming to what I think a lot of us were expecting. They rout pretty easily and lose a lot of frontal engagements that you would expect Chaos to win. So it's been kind of weird seeing that. 5 months ago, I think a lot of people would have thought Chaos would be the most likely OP faction in multiplayer, and I think CA kind of went in the opposite direction and purposely toned them down to avoid backlash from the Chaos DLC thing, which is perfectly understandable, but they're currently really expensive across the board for the damage they output, and the monsters like Dragon Ogres and Chaos Giants and stuff aren't really worth it to me because they're homing beacons for all those single target DPS spells like Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna that will hurt them very badly. And speaking of Dragon Ogres, Herald of the Tempest ability for Kolek Suneater is about to go off in the middle of those hammers, do some decent HP damage in the center, and we're preparing to enter melee combat against this very formidable Hammer and Ironbreaker line. Forsaken charging up the center right now, and I don't really have any intention of engaging from the front with my Forsaken. I might throw 1 or 2 into the meat grinder. This is my allies Forsaken right now, but I am going to flank the majority of them around the side and hopefully look for some openings into the Thunderer gun line, or into maybe get some Hammer and Anvil or rear charges off into the Ironbreakers and Hammers. The Hammers didn't get their charge bonus off, which was a mistake from the Dwarfs. They're one of the few Dwarf lines that you don't want to just kind of sit and take the charge. You want to make sure they get their charge off, because they will wreck a lot of units with their powerful charge bonus. And you can see I have gotten around the flank here, casting Fate of Buna on that front line of Ironbreakers with my Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And one thing that you might notice, actually, well, I'll talk about that in a second. Lots of blasting charges going off from the Ironbreakers right now. Forsaken tied down with the Hammers, and the Thunders are shooting in from the flank. I notice that they're kind of exposed right now. I'm definitely going to try to get into them as soon as possible to silence them. There are some Chaos Knights with Lances charging up the hill right now into the Thunderer line, but there are a lot of Ironbreakers reinforcing very close by. Those Chaos Knights are going to have a bad time. Frontally charging Dwarfs is really not the way to go, but he is silencing those guns for now at least, and they're going to get blasted apart by the Miners' charges. So I am quickly wrapping up those Hammers. Those flanking charges did a lot of damage, and in the middle of this epic fire and the Hell Cannon fire, I've gotten some nice rear charges off and surrounded this first set of Dwarfs. Chaos Spawn in there as well, and Kolek Suneater in the middle of the engagement, he's taken a lot of morale and HP damage, and this is what I'm talking about. They are beacons for those single target DPS spells and from skirmish fire and artillery fire. They take so much damage so quickly when you bring those really big monster units like Sun Eater. So that's why I personally don't like them very much, especially stuff like Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, because they can't fly away. You can't get them away from the battlefield very easily. We're quickly rolling up this flank right now, breaking the box down quite well at the moment. And Curse of the Midnight Wind from the Bretonnian Damsel, hexing those Ironbreakers, reducing their melee attack by 34 and armor by 15. Extremely good spell against the Dwarfs, and the Lord of Heavens is honestly, in my opinion, pretty useless except for those debuff abilities. So expect to see a lot of that spell in this battle. We'll need that armor reduction if we want to break through so many 100+ armored Dwarfs. I have brought a Chaos Sorcerer Lord with the Lore of Death in this battle, and you may notice that he's on a Hellsteed instead of a Chaos Dragon. In many ways, I kind of dislike the Wyverns and the Zombie Dragons in multiplayer because they will always be the first thing focused down by your opponent. Much like the other huge monster units like the Chaos Giant or the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, they're homing beacons for skirmish fire and magic. So keeping my Lord very small and fast, where he can kind of quickly get around the battlefield unnoticed and buff my units and keep my guys in the fight, it's often a much better investment, and it leaves more gold on the table for the rest of my army rather than paying a bunch of money for a Chaos Dragon that's going to get focused down from the beginning of the battle. We are going to get a really nice Hammer and Anvil charge off from the Grail Knights into the Hammers. Good job there from the LK Hero to get them into those Hammers from the rear. Grail Knights doing some cycle charging now, buffed by Lewin Leoncourt. We're going to be able to get some nice Hammer and Anvils and flanking charges off, and hopefully be able to break down this box even more. We do have them surrounded, and at this point we were feeling pretty good. I'm casting Spirit Leech on his Runesmith. That's going to do quite a bit of damage as well. And yes, the Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna right now, maybe not Fate of Buna, but Spirit Leech definitely needs a bit of a nerf or a longer cooldown. You can kind of just spam it on single characters, and it's a little bit imbalanced for sure, because it costs barely any mana or Winds of Magic to use. And the cooldown I think is only like 15 seconds, so you can really cast it a lot. Grail Knights, again, another good charge going off here. Lewin buffing them some more in melee combat. Doesn't want to leave them in their prolonged melee against the Dwarves for too long here, so definitely want to cycle charge and pull out again. Keys, the Hippogriff, getting a nice charge there as well. And he's just going to be trying to go for these flanking charges as much as possible while the two Chaos players, myself and my ally, tie down these Dwarves. I have gotten my Chaos Sorcerer into a group of Thunderers, silencing them, preventing them from firing, and also tie down some of these cannons as well. Really want to make sure that our Lords can't get sniped at this point in the battle. So many blasting charges going off, and that armor piercing from the Ironbreaker blasting charges is doing quite a bit of damage to our Forsaken as well. Gonna actually pull through with my Chaos Lord after I've taken out that Thunder and kind of silence them, and then go for this other cannon unit, make sure they stop firing as well. You want to make sure you get these gun crews off their guns as soon as possible, especially if you see them lining up for a big shot on one of your friend's Lords. You really need to make sure they stop firing, so it's fine to pull through and just tie them up. It'll make them get off their guns, and sometimes your opponent won't even notice that their gun crew isn't on the gun anymore, so they'll basically silence that gun for the rest of the battle, which is pretty good, even if you don't kill their unit. Hell Cannon in the back, that pulsating Pleasure Cannon. These things are really good, at least if you can protect them from flyers or spells in a long drawn-out battle like this one where the Dwarfs are pretty clumped up. They can rack up a lot of HP damage. Unfortunately, it's going to shoot my Chaos Lord directly in the face and do a lot of HP damage there. That was annoying as hell, but also my sincerest apologies for my Chaos Lord right now. He has not shut up for the past 5 minutes. He's super obnoxious and needs to learn that I'm his god, and he doesn't get to talk over me, but hopefully he'll stop talking. But I think that for the rest of this battle he does keep talking in weird ways about the Winds of Magic not blowing properly and blah blah blah. He's the most annoying Lord I've used so far, but he's also extremely good, so I felt like I had to bring him. So Gyro Bomber is chasing off my Chaos Lord right now, and this part was really cool. There is a Dwarf not Master Engineer, a Runesmith, and Ungrim Ironfist are chasing after my Lord, and they are both very low. They've been brought low by melee combat and a Spirit Leech or two that I've used on both of them. And so my Chaos Lord is going to wind up for a charge here and go directly at them. You can see me casting one more Spirit Leech, and I thought this was going to kill Ungrim Ironfist, so I'm going to charge in and go after the Runesmith, and actually Ungrim's not going to go down. He's going to have like 50 HP left. Big charge there. And the Runesmith is going to buff their armor. And we're going to see my Chaos Lord take on a Legendary Lord and a Hero in melee combat. And I was trying to kill them. Ungrim was one hit from death. But one thing that I've noticed, and this is one of those silly little bugs that have happened in Warhammer, a lot of the flying units and a lot of the mounted units have trouble attacking single targets. So basically, I'm going to be doing Ring Around the Rosie with Ungrim and the Runesmith, just over and over again, clicking attack orders, and I can't line up an actual attack. So I'm going to try to pull away. I was surprised how slow my Chaos Steed was right now. I kind of expected to be on a horse to be way faster than those Dwarfs. But again, going to be circling for another charge, and I believe that attack is going to lay down Ungrim, and I think he's dead. Yep. Slayer King is dead, and the Runesmith is still alive but wavering and very, very low HP at this point. And some of my Chaos Warriors with Halberds have come back. We're going to try to finish off that Runesmith and actually kind of struggle here as well. They're going to be smacking on him for a while, and he's really not going to drop. I don't know if the attacks just weren't landing or if he had a little bit too much HP. He's going to route from the field, but again, I keep trying to attack, and my Chaos Lord keeps missing. This part got really frustrating because I really needed to send my Lord over to the other parts of the battle. There's important stuff going on over there, but killing this Runesmith is a big deal because that Rune of Negation, that 44% damage reduction to all sources in an AoE, is a big deal. I cannot let him survive. He needs to die. So my guys are going to be tied up over there for a while. Bretonnian Grail Knight, just a handful of them left at this point. And Bakeys is still alive, but Lewin is quite low. Needs to pull him out of there before those Ironbreakers and Hammers tie him down and finish him off. This battle is going to get really, really close. They're basically just little tiny remnants, little pockets of resistance on both sides, but there is not much left. My main line routed a long time ago. I do have a bunch of units that routed coming back now, but they all have HP below 1,000. You can barely see their health. And Hell Cannon is firing into this blob. Thorgrim, Grudgebearer in the center, and the Dwarfs are going to make their last stand here. Kind of a waste of those men-at-arms. Just sending them in unsupported, I would have held on to them because we were trying to, at this point, kind of consolidate our forces, get that final surround off, and then attack from all sides at once, with Lewin and Hippogriff charging in from one side, and the Grail Knights, and then my Forsaken and my Chaos Lord coming in from the other. If our Hell Cannons would hit them, this battle would get so much easier, but my Hell Cannon has been missing a lot. I think it was just the angle. They can be very good, like I said, when Dwarfs are really clumped up. Hell Cannons can rack up so much HP damage, but right now, because of the way the Dwarf army is positioned behind that hill, the shots are kind of just going right over the heads of their army. And that's unfortunate because we really need those shots to hit, and we don't have a lot of ammunition left. But Balance Bar is in our favor at this point. A few Chaos Spawn left, a few Forsaken, a couple of Chosen. That's it. We've got about 400 men on the field left. I think Dwarfs have a similar number as well. And we're just going to rest our guys for a little bit. I believe this game is like Attila, where your stamina recharges very quickly, so you don't have to be resting for very long at all to recharge your stamina, which I like. I think Medieval 2, it kind of takes ages to recharge your stamina, which is kind of annoying. Forsaken charging in now. Hell Cannon shot coming in as well. Thorgrim Grudgebearer going to charge into melee with his shield bearers, and we have a big attack going in now. Blasting charges going off. Bretonnia is moving up from the rear, and my Chosen and my Halberds going in as well. Those Hell Cannons are still missing. They look epic as they go by, but they really need to be hitting stuff. Thorgrim should be able to deal with most of these melee troops, but he's pretty low. And my Chaos Lord is going for a flanking charge with the Grail Knights. We are going to try to finish off this block of big Dwarf infantry. Big charge from the Grail Knights, and we're going to see if we can maybe break the infantry here with this big charge. But they are Dwarfs. They are going to be able to survive that initial charge. And in prolonged melee combat, if we don't pull out, we might lose some of our Grail Knights, which is not good. Dwarfs are wavering, so are the Bretonnians. He's going down to the wire, boys. Lewin in melee there with Ungrim Ironfist, the other one. And this is going to be super, super close. A lot of those Grail Knights went down on the charge. A lot of Dwarf Warriors wavering as well. Damsel charging in. Probably not where she wants to be, but I'm sure her Winds of Magic have been expelled at this point. Doesn't have any more casting left. Neither do I. I don't think I'm going to be able to get another spell off this game with my Chaos Lord, so I'm going to just have to use him in melee combat. The Chaos Halberds going in against Ungrim Ironfist. Probably not the best engagement. They're going to not have a great time against Ungrim, although he is very low. The damsel's still in there. Thorgrim buffing his dudes, swinging his axe at the air and hitting stuff, doing HP damage even though he's not actually hitting anybody. Dwarf's going flying. Oh, it's so close. This battle is so close, and my Chaos Lord is getting shot by the handgunner. Is going to charge in through their lines and start killing them. But the cannons are still firing as well. Need to silence them as well. Hell Cannon and Trebuchet shots coming in as well. But Balance Bar, they won that engagement right there. The Bretonnian Grail Knights were repelled. My Chaos Lord is very low at this point. Lewin is not down yet, but he's quite low. Cannons are firing at him in the background. And I'm going to have to send in my Chaos Lord by himself. It's going to be a single charge into a big block of bodyguards for Thorgrim Grudgebearer. Charge coming in now, and he's so low. Thorgrim is so low right now. I think he's got like 200 HP left, maybe. At this point, I think it was like 291 was his HP. And my Chaos Lord is just bashing on all the dwarfs in front of him, but they are blocking it. I just need to get one attack off on Thorgrim, and I'm not able to. And my Chaos Lord is going to rout, and Ungrim and Thorgrim are going to push back our attack. And all we have left are the Hell Cannons in the back, a Gyrocopter tying them down, killing that Hell Cannon crew. And so what that means is the only unit left on the field is my Hell Cannon. Balance Bar is all the way in their favor. And I think it got glitched out at this point because when the Balance Bar gets this far in someone's favor, you automatically mass rout. It's army losses, like a minus 100 morale penalty kicks in. But they didn't rout for some reason, and my Chaos Dwarfs are going to charge in alone against the rest of the Dwarf army. Going to try to take down Thorgrim. He's still at 291 HP. And my artillery crew, these Chaos Dwarfs, are going to fight some of their most hated rivals in melee combat, and they're a Hell Cannon crew. They're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to die. And Thorgrim Grudgebearer, the other Ungrim Ironfist, and just a handful, like 25 or 30 Ironbreakers and Longbeards are going to take the field and win the game. So we were so close to winning that at the end of the battle when we got that rear charge off the Grail Knights. My Chaos Lord went in, and my Forsaken went in all at once. I thought we were going to win that engagement. We did have the advantage there, but the Dwarfs proved too tanky and resilient to our charges, and we ended up not finishing them off. You can see the kills there. One of my Forsaken almost getting 200 kills. But really close battle, really epic stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. The team battles in this game are amazing. If you have not tried them out, I absolutely recommend you doing so. Really good game to all players. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you all in the next battle.